Welcome to the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Michelle. I'm an intuitive transformational coach, certified life coach, certified NLP practitioner, and speaker. I've spent the last 22 plus years helping myself and my clients learn how to create their own happiness and live more abundant lives. In this time, I've also overcome and healed from child sexual molestation, a compulsive eating disorder, hunger, and homelessness. Now it's your turn to move forward with your life and heal from childhood traumas or past experiences. In this podcast, I'll share how I was able to overcome all of my past struggles, as well as my personal stories of overcoming jealousy, loneliness, resentment, and bitterness, and how I learned to forgive. I'll also help you explore your shadow self, deal with having low or no self-esteem, and address feelings of not being worthy or loved. Using my personal experiences and extensive training, as well as stories of grief, loss, depression, and anxiety from my guests, I'll help you change your life and finally heal.
And having those issues, abandonment issues.
Like, how did you realize that it was abandonment issues that you were dealing with? Like, what was the thing that made you realize it? Because I'm recalling a specific moment, because I think you even shared it in a group, and everybody was like, during the retreat, everybody was kind of like, "Whoa, that's deep." Do you remember what that moment was?
I don't know if I remember it specifically or verbatim, but for me, what made me realize that I had these abandonment issues was that my whole life, I always had this desire to be loved, this desire to be seen, this desire to be wanted, this desire to be adored, this desire, to just see me. Like, you know what? And I think that's why you and I, for you explained why you and I meshed from your part, but I think that's why you and I meshed, because I always felt like you saw me, right? From the door, I always felt like you saw the real Trenee. You saw the inner part of Trenee, and you messed with her. I don't know why, but I always felt like you, and maybe because you always spoke to that real part of me, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so this is how I realized it. We were talking about how at 14, I fell in love very, very young.
Yes.
I fell in love very, very young.
See, I didn't want to tell you what it was, but you got it, girl. Go ahead on.
You remember it? I fell in love very, very young. Lost my virginity at 14 to this guy. And I was playing basketball. I started playing basketball at the age of 6. Yeah. And so here we are. He and I started 8th grade. Freshman year, I'm playing basketball. Freshman playing varsity basketball.
Go ahead on, girl.
But it was demanding, right? It was time consuming, and it took all of my time. This is what really exposed it to be abandonment. It took all of my time. And so I didn't have time to spend with this new boyfriend because I was always training. I was always at basketball practice. Mm-hmm. So my little silly behind, 14-year-old silly behind, decided to quit basketball so that I could have the time, the free time to spend with my boyfriend, right?
Right.
And I think it was revealed that I was chasing time. I was trying to hold on to time because what had downloaded in me without me realizing it and knowing was that everybody leaves.
That's it.
It was that everybody leaves, right?
Yep.
And that's crazy too. Like that is just crazy. But it was that everybody leaves. And so I was trying to like really, give him or grab hold to the time that I had with him and what we had just started. So I quit basketball. Lo and behold, that fool, No, he wasn't a fool. He wasn't a fool.
He was. No, I'm just kidding.
I was the fool. He was the smart one.
Yeah.
He was the smart one. He said he hit. So when I quit, his basketball career intensified because for whatever reason in high school is when his potential jumped off. And I can remember his words as clear as day. I'm sorry, but I'm not quitting basketball over anybody. Not even you. Now, mind you, I quit ball over him. So for me, it was another egg in a basket of being unseen, right? Unwanted, not loved enough, right? And left.
Yes.
Right? And so this comes down to years of relationships and me and in my mind, them failing, you know, and in my mind, people not seeing me, people not seeing my value, not seeing my worth. I think if you read my book, at one of the chapters, I spoke about how if you could identify and see and know the value in a person, right? That you should love it enough and care for it enough to hold on to it and never let it go. Right. And I couldn't understand why anybody who really got to know Tree would ever want to lose me. Right. That was my thinking. Right.
Yep.
And so all of my relationships with family members, with friends, with my children, I'm learning that in those relationships, I was overbearing because I was really I was holding on so tight that at times I was choking people, right?
That's deep.
At times I was really smothering people. And I mean, I've never had more than 2 girlfriends at a time, right? Because I just never been the type to have a whole bunch of people around me, right? And I'm understanding and learning that maybe I need to increase my circle and choose the people that I have around me better. But I've been in situations because of how hard I love and how overbearing that I came across, right? And I guess how demanding my love is, or I don't know, whatever, for lack of better words, that I've had people assume that I was a lesbian. Right? I got to listen to people say your girlfriend because I coddled that relationship so much. Because my thing is, once I choose to let you in, and this was always my mindset, but I'm learning it's an unhealthy one in a sense. Right. Once I choose to let you in, you now become family. Yeah. And if I started a relationship with you, you better believe and understand that that is a relationship that must be maintained. This was my thinking. Right. It was a relationship that must be maintained. It was a relationship that was worth keeping. It was a relationship that, and all relationships take work, right? Right. All relationship takes work, and I'm going to do that work. I'm going to do my part, right? This is my thinking, right? Right. But the problem is rarely ever that you meet people with that attitude and mindset about relationships, right? Right. But for me, the driving force for me was my abandonment issues.
There we go.
The driving force for me was my need to be loved, right? And I think when I first realized this and found this out, I was like, oh no, I got to change. But then it hit me. No, I don't have to change. Because the way that I love, I believe wholeheartedly it is a gift from God, right?
Yes.
I believe wholeheartedly that I love the way that I'm supposed to love.
Yes.
But now I understand, right, that for one, I can't expect people to love like me. That's for one, right? So that comes in, and y'all got to create boundaries and all of that, right? Teaching people how to treat you. Yes. And all of that different stuff, right? But for me now, I know I don't have to, when someone decides to not love me, right? Yeah. How I need for them to, I don't have to take that onto myself and say, what's wrong with me?
Ooh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like somebody want to walk away. I don't have to go and beat myself up like, why they want to walk away. And one of the things I did was, for years, all my life, I assumed the responsibility.
Ooh! Yes.
I obligated myself to be a keeper of my relationships. I don't have to do that. Because at the end of the day, whether you're a friend, a family member, what you get when you get me is what you get, and it's always gonna be the same, right? Because I believe I'm a very consistent person.
You are.
I'm a very honest person.
You are.
Straightforward person.
You are.
Like I'm all of those things. So you're not going to be surprised when you get what you get from me.
No, that's for sure.
Not surprised in a bad way, at least, right?
No, you good in that way. But anytime we have ever, like, because as I'm listening to you talk about your relationships, Tree, like I said, we met, even though we're family, we didn't meet until 2004. So that was 17 years ago. And here's what's funny, and I don't know if a lot of people like in our family on like my side or your side. Well, I guess my brothers and sisters know, because I'm like, yeah, our cousin in Jersey, blah, blah, whatever. But we have always stayed in touch with each other. Like there has never been a time where we weren't talking. Well, except for that one time you kind of got mad at me because I had called you girl on Facebook. But we ain't gonna tell the details about that.
You know what's funny? But even that time, we did not talk for long.
Yeah, right. It wasn't that long. I let you cool off.
The funny thing is, you've always made me mad. Like
that is so true. And what's interesting about our relationship is that, so I have never felt, you didn't use this word, but I'm using it to like kind of like sum up everything that you said, but I've never felt smothered by you, if you will, right? Like I have never felt, oh my gosh, like she doing too much. Like I've never felt that, because I've always felt that the thing about you is, like you said earlier, you're honest, you're open, you are a woman of integrity. You're not gonna lie. You know what I mean? Like that's just who you are. But I have always felt that everything that you have given me in our relationship has come from a genuine place. Like even every time when like you like, you know what? No, don't go there, blah, whatever I've never looked at it like, oh, she changing, she's switching up, she's this, she's that. I've always looked at it kind of like, I mean, that's how she feel, right? Like I've always felt that you were genuine in everything that you've done. And that's why I've never really been, I think maybe one time I was mad at you, and I was trying to remember why I was mad at you, but I don't even remember what it was. So it must have not even been that important, because I'm literally like, why was I mad? I remember being mad. Honestly, I can't remember what it is. But anyway, but I have never felt like smothered by you. And I don't know if it's because, I've been on the healing journey for 22 years, and I've always been an introspective person, right? I've always like gone within myself and figured out, okay, in this situation where things went, one way or another, like what was my role in it? Because I've always taken responsibility for my role, not for the situations that happen, right? Not if someone chooses to leave, like I'm not taking responsibility for the fact that they left because they're their own person, but I will take responsibility and say, like, even so, like the girl thing, I was like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't have called her girl. But then I reflected, I was like, but I call everybody girl. You know what I mean? Like I always kind of like look at, okay, what could I have done? It was like, well, maybe it was because it was public, but I'm like, I say girl public too. But my point is that I've always been gone within. So it's interesting that you're talking about like your relationships, and we have a 17-year relationship. And even though we've had our moments of like, you know what, I ain't talking to her, she made me mad, it has never been to the point of like, we have never cussed each other out. We have never called each other out of our names. We have like, it has never gotten like toxic or violent. It has really, truly always been, even when we disagreed, it's always been lovely. Do you know what I mean?
And we've been connected since 2004. Yeah. Like this relationship is not new.
Right.
You know, for individuals who may believe it's new, it's not new at all. Like we've been we took off running in 2004. You came to Jersey and we've been kicking it ever since.
Yes.
So yeah. And it's never been toxic.
No.
Like I said, you make me mad all the time.
And you're not afraid to tell me, like, you know what, Dre, you just pissed me off. I'm like, well, what you want me to do about that?
And all you do is laugh. All you do is laugh. But, you know, like I said, I recognize the truth in a lot of what you say. And it's very easy because when I don't see the truth in what you're saying, or I can't agree with it, you respect that too.
Yes.
You know, I'm not going to pick up anything and put it in my pocket if I don't get it. If I don't see, you're like, Trey, you get it. And I'm like, it's not registering. Like,
you're like, I don't see a need for that. I'm like, oh, okay.
I do it. But, you know, it's good. And it works. It works. It's been working. And I don't know, over the 17 years, you've helped me grow a lot. So.
Well, I appreciate you, you know, being in my world, but I have to recognize you though, Tree, because, you know, like you said in the beginning, well, first of all, let me say, I have always felt that there is something special about you. Like I've always felt that. And even though I have an outgoing personality and I love people, I love peopling, I love talking to people, right? Like, I think I'm a comedian, low key, like I could be stand up, but whatever. Healing takes precedence.
You can do both. I can do both.
Okay. I can do both. Okay. I don't vibe with everybody. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with not vibing with people. And there have been people that I haven't vibed with that, like, on paper, you would think that we should vibe, right? So I don't vibe with everybody, but from the very beginning with you, I've always felt something there. But when I had the Finding Bliss podcast, like I asked you to come on and you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm scared. I'm like, okay, well, you know, like you said, respecting what you say. All right, let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready. Because I knew that you had a story to tell. And to be honest with you, when I first asked you, I didn't even know what we would talk about. I didn't, but I just felt that you had a story and you needed to tell that story. And it wasn't until now, or well, when we did the healing retreat, that the story that you needed to tell, which was so foundational for who you had become throughout your life, to tell it. And I just think it's just so profound how you, not me, how you were able, I just held the space to, and actually it was a short period of time if you think about it.
It really was.
No, I was gonna say, because the retreat itself is literally only 5 days. And you came to this revelation, okay, well, maybe it was day 3, but that's still, okay, so 3 days and bam. And I want to acknowledge you because you didn't take that revelation and not do anything with it. You did the work.
I'm still doing the work.
Journey. You still doing the work.
I'm still trying to understand it all, because, you know, more and more stuff just keep coming to me. And I'm like, you know, and I'm like, all right, I got to move on to the next issue, but I'm stuck on the abandonment issue. I mean, another one came up, but I think that's being dealt with here too.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's deep. It's deep. Mm-hmm. It's good. Yeah. I'm even thinking, like, to just think about how me with these abandonment issues, it could have cost me my husband.
I was gonna say that. Yes.
And my children, you know, because like Vaughn, he got the brunt. Yeah. He got a lot of it. And
who is a great man and a great husband and an amazing father, by the way.
Oh my God. I can't even speak to it. Vaughn is he's the real MVP.
Yeah. No, he really is. He really is.
Yes. But like him, like when I listen to him talk about it, he needs your retreat also. Because he knows it too. Yeah. But a lot of that stuff he still gets upset over a lot of that stuff in our early dating life. Like it still bothers him. And like I can look back and see it now. Like I was smothering. I was like, I was holding on so tight to him. You know, like I mean, choking him. Choking him, afraid of losing him. Wow. You know, trying not to lose him. And I was making decisions, just, you know, trying to make sure I don't lose him. It was only by the grace of God, the grace of him, and whatever it was that he saw in me that he decided not to leave, which I love him so much for, because I feel like Vaughn always saw. I appreciate him and love him so much more for that too, because I believe that Vaughn always saw that something more on the inside of me too, that made him not walk away from me, you know, because when he hit the ground walking, he's been running ever since. And he's never, ever, you know, walked away from me or anything like that. And, you know, with abandonment issues, that's a big deal. Yes. That's a really, really big deal. And so I give him so much credit and love for that.
Yeah. But, you know, and that's also because I just think that is interesting talking about, you know, abandonment, talking about, you know, relationships and, you know, how we've had our 17, you know, year relationship and, you know, you and Vaughn, y'all have been together, what, like 14, 15 years now or something like that?
Oh, 13.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. See, I was there from the beginning. Okay. No.
You were there from the beginning.
The very beginning, girl.
Very beginning. We actually got a funny story from the beginning with you, Andrea.
Girl, don't you be putting my business out front street. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You can tell the story if you want to, girl. I don't care.
Vaughn has grown to love you, though.
Girl, Vaughn didn't like me. Like he like
no, he didn't like.
He like no F her.
He didn't like Andrea. But you know what? He didn't like you though because of your toughness. Like, and you know how you speak. You speak what you feel. You speak what you believe. And I think it was something along the lines. You deny this, but it's the truth. It was something along the lines when he and I first started dating. You were really, really into Christianity at the time, also.
Yes.
And I was at the beginning of my walk.
Yes.
And when he and I we connected and we started hanging out and when eventually we started fornicating or whatever, you were like, okay, like you wasn't playing with your little cousin. You was like, okay, so are you guys gonna get married? and I think you had a conversation with him or something. Yeah. And you asked him, I think maybe you asked him or whatever, and he was saying he didn't know. You know, he didn't know or whatever. He didn't know when or if or whatever. And when you came back to me, you held no punches. You was like, listen, a man knows. A man knows. It don't take a man forever to know if he gonna make you his wife. And you were not playing. And you use your situation, your story with Tony, I think, as an example, how Tony knew off the bat. And what you did was you fired me up. I don't know if you told him that too, that a man knows it doesn't take a man forever to know if the woman he's with he wants to marry. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you said that to him, but I know you said it to me. Mm-hmm. And you fired me up and I repeated it. And he was hot. What? Because I don't know when I'm going to marry you or ask you to be my wife or right now, like I leave me, like, you know, walk away. He was hot. He didn't like you for years. He was like, I'm not her boyfriend, and you're not her. Like he was hot for years.
I was gonna say for at least what, like I don't think it was only just until the last couple years where he was just kind of like, was she she
Yeah. I
mean,
yep. Maybe past 2 years, yep.
Yeah, right. I know it's recent, girl. And I can feel the shift in him, even though, like, and it's so funny because, like you never told me, like, he don't like you, girl. And I never told you, like, well, and it's not that I didn't like him, but I never told you I knew that he didn't like me. Mm-hmm. It was like we could just, like, I mean, it was just that, I mean, you know.
Yeah, and when he told me, he said, it's not that I don't like her. He felt like you judged him in that statement because he felt like his intentions towards Nehemiah and I had always been right and pure.
Yeah.
And he had the same intentions as I.
Right.
But his thing was, I need to grow there.
Right.
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 And I guess when you said what you said, and then on top of me like this, it was sort of like, you know, we made him feel like we were judging him. But yeah, he likes you now. He said, even though she get on, his exact words is, even though she get on my damn nerve, yeah, she cool. She be telling the truth a lot of the times. Yeah, so it's all good. It's all good. But
so for those of you who think that everybody likes me all the time, they don't. They don't. Just put it out. This story was the perfect example. Like, not everybody likes me. And the thing is I'm okay with that. But even in this situation, I'm talking about Vaughn, like, I honestly, I can see how he would feel that way. And I think that's probably why I never said anything to you, you know, or been like, well, why him, you know, taking it because I can 100% see that. I do like vaguely remember the conversation. Obviously, I don't know like verbatim what, but I mean, I trust what you're saying. I trust that I probably did say it because it sounds like something Andrea would say. I'm just saying. But again, I just want to acknowledge you, Tree, for coming on and being so open and talking about, you know, your healing journey. And what I love about you being on this journey is the fact that you said that like you're still on it, right? Like you recognize, because like even recognizing or having the revelation that, oh my gosh, like everything it's steeped in abandonment. Like every decision that I make, whether it's from my husband to my children, to my friendship, to my siblings, to my cousin, like every relationship, like abandonment was wrapped all in it. And it's got nothing to do with the other people, right? It's got nothing to do with Vaughn or your kids or your cousins or your mom. Like it's got nothing to do with them. It had all to do with your issues. And I love the fact that you recognize that. And then also that you're allowing yourself the time that you need to process this, right? Like you're not saying, oh, the retreat is done and now I'm done with abandonment, but you're allowing yourself to sit. Like you said, part of you is like, I want to move on. And then another part of you is like, nope, it's not time. And so you're giving yourself permission to go through this process because honestly, Tree, before it's all done with, like, of course, like abandonment is the foundation, but before it's all done with, everything else that needs to be healed, like it stems from abandonment. Like that's the root. So everything grows from there. So other things are going to come that need to be healed, but it's still rooted in abandonment. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like jealousy, rooted in abandonment. I'm not saying you deal with jealousy. I'm just putting it out there. Like envy, rooted in abandonment. Bitterness, rooted in abandonment, right?
Because self-esteem. Yes.
It's all rooted in abandonment.
I have these pictures of me on my wall that I look at every morning and tell her that I love her. And these images of me, I hate looking at them. I hate looking at them because I look so rough in these pictures. Like I was a little tomboy. Mm-hmm. So I look so rough in these pictures. Like I see the her that was like, oh, like that was rough. And I hate it. And so I tell myself, I look at her, I make myself look at these pictures, and I tell her I love her and I tell her she's beautiful. Yes. And Vaughn go, I don't know what your issues are with these pictures. I think you are adorable. But these pictures, I mean, like, yeah, like, I think, I don't know, maybe it contributes to the story of, in my mind, as far as like, you know, I ask those questions, why can't people see me? Why can't people love me? Why people leave? You know, in my mind, that version of what I see is what they saw. And she wasn't worthy.
Oh, so that's deep. Yeah.
You know, but I'm working it out. I'm definitely working it out. I think what this revelation has given me is that, no, it's not the people, the person's fault, right? Yeah. Even though a lot of those people in those different relationships, they do or have said or mindsets are crazy, right? But ultimately for me, what I learned is that those questions that I had why?
Yeah.
The reason why it hurts so bad is connected to this abandonment issues, right? Ooh. So
yes.
It was something for me, just learning and being able to see and understand that every relationship that I've had and my motivation and the way that I moved was all connected to this desire to be loved. And I understand why now. But that's just gonna make me love harder, right?
Yeah, right.
And that make me still love the way I love harder, you know, and understand that everybody's not going to be able to love me on a level on which I want them to. And that's okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then I also learned and am learning that, and this was a big one for me too, that everybody doesn't require to be loved the way that I require to be loved. That was a big one for me.
Yes.
That was a real big one for me. And I think I found that out maybe one night working on the second part of the book. And I found that out in maybe the first or second chapter. And I asked him this question and he gave me the answer. And his answer was heartbreaking. Right? And it was like, but I mean, I was loving him.
Yes.
Giving him everything that I needed.
Yes.
Everything that I wanted, every way that I wanted him to love me. And communicate love to me.
Yes.
That's how I was loving him. That's how I was communicating love to him.
Yes.
And it's not what he needed.
Nope.
It's not what he needed. So in that area for him, I wounded him a lot. I damaged him a lot. You know, I hurt him a lot.
Right.
And so but I had to learn that, you know. Yeah. And I'm learning that with my children too.
Yeah. You know, because like I said, we keep mentioning journey, right? Healing journey, self-discovery journey, because it's ongoing. It literally does not stop. Like we are always learning and we are always growing. And there will always be things that will come up as we grow and as we expand that are going to be revealed to us. And it's always revealed to us in the timing that it needs to be revealed, because had in your case, had these abandonment issues been revealed to you perhaps last year, you probably wouldn't have been able to receive those. You know, you would have been like, no, I'm not abandoned because I had this, all of these things, right? But it's because you opened yourself up and you were in a place to receive, okay, God, Holy Spirit, universe, whatever you choose to call it, everybody can call it whatever they want to. I'm ready for change. Right? I'm ready for something different. Like I feel this deep within my spirit, in my soul, that something has to change. Right? And, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. Right? So it's like, if you've been doing the same thing and it's not working, that's a sign. I need to do something else. And most likely when you do something else, you pretty much see results almost right away, because you've broken the pattern of what you're used to, right? And when you break that pattern, because, Newton's law of motion, not to get too scientific and all of that, is a body at rest stays at rest, or a body in motion stays in motion unless it's acted on by a force. And that's why you will continue to get the results that you've always gotten if you could keep doing what you've always done, unless there is a force, something to switch directions, that which in this case is you doing something differently than what you've always done. But if you are always doing the same thing, get up every day, go to work, take care, do this, drink my this, smoke my that, every day, eat the this, eat the that, then you will probably always get the same results. And it's really just that simple. You know what I mean?
You know what? When I knew for me that it was absolutely time to do something, that I knew I had to join your class, I felt myself I was angry and I was bitter. I was becoming bitter. I was becoming the things that I said I would never be, right? I always told myself that I will never, ever allow this world to turn my heart cold, or to turn my heart dark. The things that I go through in life, to turn my heart cold and dark.
Yes.
And I felt it, with the past 2 years or whatever, and the shifts in my relationships that I hold dear. And maybe those shifts were needed for me to get to this point.
Yes.
And in some of those relationships, I hope that those shifts are temporary, right?
Right.
But I felt me becoming bitter. And I mean, I was waking up mad, mad that this is what it's become,
right.
And just going back to how could this relationship not be important enough for us to not be here? And it was just like angry and bitter. And so when I saw your I was like, this got to be deeper than the surface. Yeah, that has to. So I said, I gotta go within. I don't know what this inner child stuff is, but something got to be down there.
Yeah, you were like, cousin, I have no idea what this is. I don't know what you're talking about, but I just really feel like I need to do this.
Yeah, I was
because you have never been like an angry person. You've never been like a bitter person. If anything, you the type of person who loves someone based on potential and not probability. So
which got me in a lot of trouble too.
Right. So you're right. The fact that you felt yourself like angry and bitter is uncharacteristic of you. And also, Tree, to what you said in the beginning of like waiting on God to come and heal you and deliver you, right? Like you had to recognize that about yourself, right?
Yep.
And you had to take the next step in order to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because you could have easily been like, well, I'm gonna wait for God to heal this anger and heal this bitterness and heal this resentment, and I'm gonna go pray it away.
Yeah. Or wait for God to stop sending these people that's not seeing me. Right. And the crazy thing about that is some of those people I met in the church. Right.
Girl, don't talk about that now, girl. No.
So, but no, seriously, some of those important relationships were with people that I met in the church, right? And so I was about like, God, like when anger and bitterness come into play, like God, I connected with these people through you.
Yes.
What's going on? Like, when are you going to stop it? When are you going to fix it?
Yeah.
When are you going to stop sending these people my way? Why are you allowing her to have that mindset? Why are you allowing him to do like it? And it just wasn't making sense to me. It was like, God, okay, like, all right, yeah, it got to be more than just him healing me, right? And then for years, I waited for him to heal me of the herpes.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, so I think the way that we're perceiving healing, maybe it's not exactly what I've been believing all these years, right? So I was like, all right, okay, a shifted perspective, you know, or an expanded or, matured perspective.
Yep.
And so, because like I said, I still believe in God wholeheartedly.
Me too, girl.
And I know you do. I know you do. I absolutely know you do. But
well, some people think I done jumped off the deep end, but
that's why I was saying that, listening to you and you don't really know you, and really aren't trying to like really hear you. One could say, and people, it's easy for people to just listen and hear what they want to hear,
right? And
walk away with, whatever they want to walk away with, which is why I say, let me just be clear. I absolutely wholeheartedly believe in God. However, at the point that I'm in my life now, I understand and know that God believes in me too. And that's why he's given me the ability to do some work.
Oh, girl. That's it right there. So, Tree, this was so good. And I think we're probably going to have to make this a 2-part episode because I don't want it to get too long. So we'll probably make this 2 parts. So before we leave and before we hear your spoken word, Trenee, this was an amazing conversation on healing from abandonment issues. If there was only one thing we want people to walk away with from everything that we've said, that you've shared, what would that one thing be?
Just really getting to know yourself and loving yourself and appreciating yourself, because I know we all like to say, I love me. Because I love me.
Right.
But there is real work in loving yourself. And so if you don't hear anything that I've said, I think I would want you to know that your love is important and it's ultimate. And love yourself first and understand, know, and realize that your love is enough. And everybody else's love is extra.
Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. There's really nothing else for me to say except thank you. So now I'm going to yield the floor to you for you to say your original piece written by you, performed by you, and it's my honor that I get to sit here and listen to it. So the floor is yours.
Okay. So this poem is called Got. I wrote it at 19. I was 19 years old when I wrote it. It says, I've been got, was stupid and blind for this dude. I sexed this nigga without a condom and I got something from the fool. The sad part is the nigga response was like, what they got to do with me? I swear my face probably red. I can't believe, but he gave me something. And trust, it wasn't a gift. It wasn't a hug and a kiss, and it was not this. But he gave me a lifelong commitment without the ring and the kids. Without being incarcerated, I am incarcerated. A prisoner of myself or maybe my health. See, the outbreaks I can't take, but I am a survivor and a child of God. So you can believe me when I say that I will not rock, fold, or ball up in a corner and plot on killing this nigga. I could never find it in me to pull a trigger. Because even then, I still wouldn't win. Because this disease will forever be my bad friend. But there's no point in crying anymore because I'm living, I ain't dying. It's just a lesson learned. Be careful who you side with and definitely who you lie with. Always listen to your first voice. Stay listening for the sirens. I got y'all.
Ooh. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's so deep, y'all. And this is how deep Trenee is. And so we look forward, Tree, to hearing more of you. Facebook and Instagram, just throwing that out there. I just look forward to you putting more of your work out there because it's absolutely beautiful. And I love how, and I'm not going to eulogize and all of that because we going to go. But at 19, how you could just like that came from somewhere. And so, and all of your writing is so purposeful. And so I personally just look forward to hearing more of it. So again, thank you so much for that performance. And thank you so much for being on the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Hey loves, are you looking for a safe place to hang out while you're healing with other like-minded individuals? If so, then I would love for you to join my private Facebook community called Healing While Discovering Yourself, named after the podcast. This community is for those who are truly seeking a safe place to heal and also show up authentically. If this interests you, then I'm going to invite you to go to Facebook/groups/Healing While Discovering. I look forward to seeing you in the group. Tony Robbins said, the quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of the questions you're asking yourself. And that's why I'm inviting you to download my free guide called 5 Powerful Questions to Ask Yourself to help you take back control of your life. In this guide, you will learn how to shift your mood, break negative thought patterns, and identify beliefs and stories so that you can explore the truthfulness of these stories. Go to andreamichelle.com/powerful to download this free guide today.